This story begins with a man named Chen, the president of a company. He was returning from a long trip abroad. On the other hand, we see Suzu, a girl who is extremely shy, as she gets embarrassed by everything. She was getting ready for a job interview. Later, while Suzu was going up in the elevator, she accidentally bumps into Chen. When he looks down, he notices that Suzu dropped a keychain, so he picks it up. However, when he sees the shape of the keychain, he is a bit confused, as it looks very similar to one he owns. After this, we see Suzu meeting her partner, whose name is Do-hee. He asks her how she felt during the day and how it went. Noticing that her shoelaces are untied, he sweetly ties them for her. Because of this gesture, Suzu reflects on how they've always been together, as they've known each other since they were kids. Meanwhile, Chen was still puzzled by the keychain and wanted to know why they had identical ones. Because of this, he asks his secretary to investigate everything about Suzu. Then we see Suzu, who is very worried, looking for her keychain. While she was lying down, she receives a message from Chen, as he had texted her to say that he had kept it because he found it on the ground. This makes her very happy, but also a bit concerned, as she asks Chen how he got her number. However, Chen doesn't answer and instead suggests they meet so he can return the keychain. When Suzu goes out, she bumps into a man with bad intentions, and he takes some pictures of her without her noticing. But Chen sees everything and later tells the man that he must delete the photos he took of the girl. Chen also accidentally discovers that Suzu's boyfriend was seeing another woman and was being unfaithful. Later, when Chen and Suzu meet, he tells her everything and says that her boyfriend has another woman. At that moment, Chen steals a kiss from Suzu, which catches her by surprise, and, very angry, she storms off. Later on, Suzu meets with Do-hee, but he notices something is wrong and asks if she's feeling okay. However, Suzu was deeply in love with him, so she tells him to never leave her alone and always stay by her side. Since she was so in love and wanted to show him all her affection, she ended up confessing to him a recipe that would help him make a very delicious wine. This recipe was very valuable to her, as it came from her family. Later, Do-hee meets with Nina, who is his lover. They meet to celebrate that they finally have Suzu's family recipe, as Do-hee was only with her to obtain it. The next day, they attend a wine auction and keep offering more money to win it. However, the auction is won by Chen, who offers more money than Do-hee. Suzu was very furious and told Chen to please stop following her everywhere she goes. Chen replies that he follows her because he doesn't want anything bad to happen to her and wants to protect her from anyone who might harm her. Finally, he hands her a keychain and asks if she really doesn't know who he is, but Suzu leaves, embarrassed. Later, Do-hee meets with his lover at a hotel. There, they discuss the recipe Suzu gave them, but upon following it, the wine didn't taste the same. They think Suzu tricked them and gave them a fake recipe. Because of this, they begin to plan a way to break into Suzu's apartment and steal the real recipe they so desperately want. On the other hand, Chen was looking at his keychain, and at that moment he has a childhood memory where he sees his best friend, who had to say goodbye to him as she was moving away. Due to this situation, they both decided to exchange keychains to always remember each other. Later, Suzu receives a call. They were contacting her to inform her that Chen had her boyfriend, Do-hee. So Suzu quickly goes to Chen to confront him about having her partner, but he tells her that it's a lie and that they told her falsehoods. Meanwhile, we see Do-hee, who was at Suzu's apartment looking for the family recipe, and ends up finding Suzu's diary. In it, it was written that the family recipe could only be prepared by one person, and that person was Suzu. Later, they meet, and Do-hee tells her that it was all a mistake, that Chen didn't have the recipe, and suggests that she should prepare it to feel better. However, at that moment, Nina, Do-hee's lover, appears. After all, Suzu finally discovers that Do-hee had been cheating on her with another woman, and that he indeed had a mistress. She also realizes that Do-hee is not her childhood friend and that he had been deceiving her all along by pretending to be him. The real reason Do-hee stayed with Suzu for so long was because he wanted to get Suzu's family recipe and also craved more and more money. Many days passed, and Suzu finally found a job. Meanwhile, Chen is somewhat worried because he hasn't been able to win Suzu over, so he seeks advice from his secretary on how to get closer to her. Chen's plan, which involved stealing a kiss and following her everywhere, turned out to be a major failure. Then, Chen decides to send her a text message asking if she would like to go out for a meal with him. Suzu responds that it would be a great pleasure, so she accepts the invitation. The day for dinner arrives, but as time goes by, Chen realizes that Suzu never showed up for the date. Since the waiters informed him they had to close, he had to leave. Later, Suzu sends him a message apologizing and explaining that she couldn't make it because she had to work a bit longer. She suggests meeting the next day. The following day, when they meet, Chen, very polite, gives her a huge bouquet of flowers, and there he tells her the truth, he is her childhood friend. Suzu is somewhat shocked by the news but then expresses that she is very happy to reunite with her best friend. However, when they are there, Chen starts acting strangely because he is having a panic attack. At that moment, his secretary appears and gives him a pill to help Chen calm down and feel better. Later, we see Chen lying down, and his secretary tells Suzu that Chen, when he was young, went through something very traumatic but has been gradually overcoming that trauma and is getting better. Days later, they go out again, and Chen tells her that he will take her to the apartment where he lives. When they arrive at the apartment, they discover that Suzu has been evicted for owing many months of rent. Seeing this, Chen tells her not to worry and invites her to live with him at his house. From that moment on, we see Suzu very happy, and both of them appear content and somewhat affectionate. One night, Suzu encounters Du-hee, who is very drunk. When he sees her, he tries to make advances, but at that moment Chen appears and gives him a good punch for trying to disrespect Suzu. Afterward, Chen strongly reprimands his caretakers for leaving Suzu alone, but she tells him not to worry so much, as she is no longer a child and knows how to take care of herself. Later, we see Chen sitting, and Du-hee appears, furious. He tries to hit Chen because Chen had ruined several of his businesses. However, Chen stands his ground and warns him that if he bothers Suzu again, the consequences will be worse, he'll end up with no contracts and nothing left. When Suzu hears about this, she quickly goes to check on Chen. He is very happy, and when he sees her, he gives her a strong and warm hug. After that, he surprises her with a beautiful cake because it turns out it's her birthday, and they end up having a lovely meal with their friend and Chen's secretary. Later, when night falls, they've had quite a bit to drink, are a bit tipsy, and confess their feelings to each other, leading to a night of passion. The next morning, they are very happy, so they make breakfast together. From that moment on, they enjoy each other's company and create beautiful memories. Later, we see that Suzu is feeling a bit unwell and hasn't had her period. Her friend brings her a pregnancy test, and when she takes it, it turns out positive. Determined, she asks her friend to accompany her to the doctor for a more accurate result. Later, when Suzu was talking to Chen, she asked him what would happen if she got pregnant one day. Chen reassured her not to worry, saying he would never abandon her and would love the baby. So, Suzu told him everything that happened and sadly said that the doctor's test came back negative, and it was a mistake. To comfort her, Chen told her not to worry, that one day they would have many babies, and they shared a beautiful, passionate kiss. Later, while Suzu was with her friend, they ran into Nina, her ex's lover, who intended to bother and upset her. But at that moment, Suzu wasn't afraid and slapped Nina to make her stop. Suzu was tired of them always bothering and making her feel bad, so she told her friend she should get revenge somehow. Suzu then entered Nina's office disguised so she wouldn't be recognized. When Du-hee arrived at the office, he found posters insulting him, and angrily took them down. Chen and Suzu were confident in their deep love, so they decided to get married. Then, we see Suzu stunning Chen when she appears in a beautiful wedding dress, making him happy to have such a lovely bride. But then Du-hee shows up and hurts Chen because his grandfather had expelled him from the company for losing all the family's money. However, Suzu protected her love, which scared Du-hee, and he decided to leave. After this, they have a lovely wedding, reminiscing about all the moments they shared, concluding this love story.